thank you so much for being here and enjoying all of these fantastic EVPs with us. Tony, you've really surpassed yourself with these. And I've been impressed with your work for a long time, and these are just amazing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that greatly. But I gotta give some credit to the spirits that are giving us this information because it's not just me. It's a connection with them. And so I got to give them credit as well. Credit to trust me enough to be able to capture it, being in the right place at the right time, and it's a two-way street. And I
It
think
really is.
hopefully my wife and I have built a reputation with them, for them to trust us enough to give us this information because I know lots of investigators that go out and come back and say, well, I got nothing here,
Hmm.
or we didn't. Well, I think some of it is that relationship building process, and sometimes that takes time.
It does. And, I'm glad to hear you say that because so few people acknowledge that need. And it's real.
Yeah, that's true. It's very real. It's very real, and the stronger that trust and that understanding and that acknowledgement that this is not just some fairy tale. This is really happening. These voices we're recording, we're hearing, they're there, they're responding. It's that belief that they're really there. You have to truly believe it. If you don't, chances of you getting this type of response is probably hindered by that disbelief that they're actually there.
I would agree with that. Another place that I have been that is a true research center is the old Paulding Jail. And the person who owns that jail has a portal running almost all the time when she's there. It's a very odd thing to be, slicing tomatoes or cucumbers and be having a conversation with a spirit who is coming through the portal to ask you why you're fixing that or what are you doing. It's a direct
Yeah, and
interaction.
it absolutely is, and just by the fact that they know what you're doing, they
Hmm.
can see what you're doing, and they can ask a question about that, takes any doubt away that it's a
Right.
direct interaction.
And for the record,
Yeah,
these are the
completely
same
agree.
spirits that I ticked off so bad that they were banging on things. We had to come to an understanding. So,
Whoops.
yes. Well, it was inadvertent, but I could understand after the fact why they were so upset. So, and I just explained to
Sure.
them that I didn't drive 14 hours to be ugly. I was there to get answers. And eventually we came to, like I said, an understanding. And when I left, my radio skipped. I was listening to Sirius and it skipped off the song it was on and started playing Alison Krauss's Ghost in This House. So I figured they were telling me bye nicely.
Wow, that's
So,
that's an amazing, almost too coincidental to be coincidental.
right?
That's funny.
So apparently they can
Yeah.
control your satellite radio too.
And I'm sure they can. I've seen them manipulate electronic devices far beyond what I ever thought imaginable. So I'm sure they can easily manipulate a Sirius radio.
I have been so blown away by the things that I have seen like that. And I know that you have done the electronic side of things much more in depth and longer than I have. What seems to be the biggest draw? What seems to what seems to pull them into your conversation above all else?
Well, that's a very good question. It depends, I guess, on whether we're out at a location. A lot of the ITC devices, the portals, the spirit boxes, there's only a couple of apps that I use, Echovox being one of them, and the other one is a app that's not even available yet, that was given to us to test. But depending on where the devices are used, a lot of the ITC stuff I will do actually in my home. And there are people that say, oh, you don't do that. You don't want to draw them into your home. Well, guess what? Whether I want to draw them into my home or not, they're already here.
Right.
And whether they followed us or whether they are looking to communicate. And when I turn on a box at home, that is when I usually get the clearest, the most direct responses because they are literally here waiting for me to turn it on to communicate. And when we go out to locations, there's, they're maybe unsure, they're maybe not sure how to use it, whatever the case may be. But the ones that are around and waiting, knowing I'm going to turn it on twice a week or whatever my schedule is for that device, they're literally here waiting for me to turn it on, and that's when the interactions are the strongest.
That's very interesting because I have always been told, don't investigate in your own home. But I had something going on a couple of weeks ago. It was driving the dogs crazy. Somebody was in the kitchen moving things around and, just basically banging on a few things. And the dogs are looking at me like, really, you have to fix this. And so I just turned on a voice recorder and I said, okay, who's here? I'm listening. Obviously, you have an issue. And my eardrum started vibrating. And I was like, no, not in my ear. I need you to vocalize so that I can hear you on the recorder because I can't hear you when you're vibrating things. And I got something. I couldn't understand it even using AudioVox, but not Audacity. But it was, I was hoping that I would be able to have a clearer understanding of what was said because obviously someone was upset. But that's the only time I've ever actively tried to investigate in my house. Maybe I should do it more often.
Well, like I said, it's a touchy subject. Most people are like, don't do it. But for Cherie and I, it works because we haven't had anything bad happen. We have gotten great communication. And we've gotten answers to things that, I think if we were out actually at the investigation site, I think would be harder to get when I'm sitting at home. I'm usually alone or Cherie's here with me or whatever the case may be, but it's only two of us and they may not feel threatened or whatever the case may be. There may be a variety of different reasons for different spirits, but we have noticed that on a scheduled night at a scheduled time, if we use a particular device, that's when the responses come in. But that response that you got, that you said you couldn't quite understand,
right?
If you still have that response, send it to me because we know some tricks to clearing it up and being able to pull out things that are maybe not readily heard. But send it to me. Send me the audio file and let me see if I can clean it up for you.
I will do that. Because I shared it with a few other people, but no one else could pick anything up either. And I think whatever it is was important because obviously somebody was feeling less than happy. And I don't want anybody at my house feeling that way.
And if they took the time and the energy if they took the time to try to leave the message, they had something that they definitely wanted to express. So,
I just, because it's so funny because I have a puppy that's not used to my house she's only been here a couple of months, but the older dogs were just like, really, really fix that, and I'm like, we'll give it a shot, guys. So I just thought that was funny. We don't get that much. But I'll send that to you when we get off of here.
Yeah, perfect. I'd love to be able to see what I can do with it. Maybe pull that message out so you can have that understanding and maybe what they were trying to say.
That would be great. Because, I don't know, when you do that, do you just have like a quiet zone at home when you sit down to do your sessions?
Yes, yes, I do. We will, and like I said, the point of doing it is usually at the same time, on the same days, using the same equipment, and of course, absolutely eliminating any outside or external noise factors, whether that be radios, television, kids, whatever the case may be. Um, but that controlled environment is absolutely crucial to being able to make it work as it needs to.
Well, I agree because, we had that. The only thing that was on was the recorder. And because my phone was next to me, I just picked it up and hit it for my voice recorder. But the vibrating my ear was very weird. I don't usually get that at home. And that's, if I'm out somewhere, that's when I know that something is trying to communicate or someone is trying to communicate, and I start focusing. And sometimes I can get it. Usually it's on my recorders. But I'm just...
Yeah, 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 and that's the nice thing about EVPs on recorders is because there's no denying. I mean, unless you have external noise that could influence what you think you're hearing. But if you're in a quiet environment and you get a voice that comes in that is not your own, then you know you've captured something. Then if you get the experiences, like you said, the other external factors that support the EVP that you captured, your ears ringing. Yeah, maybe they were initially trying to speak right to you. And when all that stuff adds up, it's really hard to deny then a voice that's saying something on a recording, even if you can't necessarily, like you said in this case, make it out. But you know that connection was made and that attempt was done to try to communicate something of importance to you.
Mm-hmm. And I just felt like, I don't know if it was what one of my friends who's a psychic calls the grannies that are here. And they would die if they heard themselves referred to that way. Or if it was, seriously, they would have a fit. Or if it was just, because it sounded like somebody was looking for a pan. And
wow,
I'm not going to look for a pan in the mornings because David's at work and I don't have to cook him breakfast, right? And he cooks a better breakfast than I do anyway. But it was just so odd that, it's like,
right?
What are you doing? What are you looking for? Who is doing that? And I find it funny that the dogs will know before I do when somebody's here.
Yeah, pets are very attentive to noticing something of the paranormal. Sometimes even lots of times before people are, just because they're sensitive to it as well, and they can usually notify you, hey, something's. I mean, if the dog's barking, growling, we've seen our dog do that many times at staring into areas that we don't see anything, but obviously he's sensing something, he's interacting with something, and we've seen some strange stuff occur in the last I don't know how many years, but it is interesting to experience and see those interactions between, like you said, a pet and what appears to be some sort of paranormal activity.
It'll trip your brain on occasion.
That it will.
Well, tell people how to find you, Tony, because we are just right out of time.
All right. Well, real quick, to find me, Facebook's probably the easiest. Just Tony Rathman. Just type in Tony Rathman. You'll go right to my paranormal Facebook page. We are also entityvoices.com for our website. If you're looking for the Copper Canyon Paranormal Research Center, you can find that at www.coppercanyonprc.com.
Well, I'll tell you, it looks amazing. I can't wait to get the chance to get out that way. And,
like I said, Kat,
thank you so much. I've had the best time.